for us. Can I get a witness? It's traps. And Satan has set up traps for us. And if we're not careful, we'll step in the wrong place. And I've been in some wrong places, y'all. If you're not careful. And you see, problem is we're supposed to be examples. Can I get a witness? And more often than not, folk won't necessarily. Your children don't do what you say. They do what they say. Can I get a witness? Help me hear somebody. Oh, you can intimidate them while they're young. Don't do what I do. Do what I say. But cigarettes I smoked, they was my daddy's. And he told me faithfully, it ain't good for you. Are you praying with me? And 4 roses. That's way back there. Yeah, come on, help me hear somebody. Well, what I'm trying to what I'm trying to say is, listen. There's only one standard. But for those in leadership, for parents, for pastors, you know, one of the problems with the church today is that folk can't follow the steps of those of us who call ourselves leaders. Can I get a witness? If I ain't walking right, you're more likely to walk like me. You know, if you look at me, I used to think that I looked like my mama because of my color. But as I grew up, Mac, looked in the mirror, much to my disappointment, I look just like my dad. I walk just like my dad. And if I ain't careful, I'll act. Because there's some stuff going on inside of me. Are you praying with me? And you know what breaks my heart? Is that, yeah, God called me out of darkness into marvelous light. But he left all that mess in me. So life is a daily challenge. It's a daily struggle. Right. Are you with me? Right. He said, but Christ is our example. He said he's the one that I should try to pattern my life after. He's the one that I should place my footsteps in his footsteps so that others will be able to follow me safely. Are y'all praying with me? I ain't the one. I'm not the one. The challenge is too much. But he says, I've got to do it. Now watch what he tells me I got to do. Watch what he tells me I got to do. The example, here's the example. He don't just say it, but here it is right here. He says, who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. He was righteous. He was right all the time. And I ain't righteous, and I ain't right all the time. That's the way God sees me, but God sees me through him. And I ain't always right, and I ain't always righteous. But that's the challenge for me. Now watch this. That in spite of the fact that I can't be perfect like him, at least I don't have an attitude about other folk. Watch this. Watch this now. Did anybody here ever thought you was right? And you just jumped dead on off into that discussion with both feet, and you just pressed your claim. Are you with me? You know you was right. You were just about indignant. Come on and help me here, somebody, because they said you were wrong. Well, you know what I've discovered, man. Some of the very time when I thought I was right, I was so wrong till I was almost embarrassed to come back and discuss the subject again. Are y'all praying with me? Now listen at this. He was, Jesus was right all the time. All the time. And yet when folk disagreed with him, I'm trying, but I ain't got there yet. Because when folk disagreed with him, he just said, well, it's going to be all right. Are y'all listening to me? I don't always say that. Now, I'm getting better, especially here at the church, you know, because that's not want too bad a reputation. But you know, I haven't got that at home yet. And I don't know, God gave me somebody that knew just which buttons to push, when to push it, how to push it, so that I'd be embarrassed and not think more of myself than I really am. Are you praying with me? And so I'm better, but I ain't there yet. I'm striving, but I'm not there yet. Are y'all praying with me? And the second thing he says is, when he was reviled, he reviled not again. In other words, when the conversation got all heated up, he didn't trip. He was cool, he was calm, he was like Obama. You know, if that fella, when that fella called him a lie when he was up there doing his thing at that other thing, and that fella called him a lie, I'd been pressing, I'd been down there on him so fast, the Secret Service couldn't have kept up with me. And I'd have been all over him like a, come on and help me here somebody. Of course, I ain't the president, thank God. And, but I got a greater responsibility. Because somebody's watching me. Somebody is looking at everything that I say and everything that I do. Are you listening to me? And I need to be on the job. I remember when I was sharing, witnessing, I told this story before, so I'll make it short, but I was witnessing to this person, and then one of my friends who likes to argue about the Bible, in the middle of me sharing, I'm making a point here and pressing my claim, and he comes up there and starts talking to me about what's right and doctrines and all of that stuff and all that kind of good stuff. So you know what I did? I lit off into him real good, Tony. Only problem was the fellow who I'd been trying to witness to, he ducked his head and got out the room before somebody got hurt. But he just knew I was getting ready to do something stupid. I had to apologize to him. I did, thank God, I did get a chance to talk to him later, but you have to be careful how you deal with one another. Even, you know, especially sometimes friends, you know, somebody see you talking to your friend, and they may think y'all mad and gonna fall out with one another, and they ain't gonna never get together again. And you ain't got no problem. Y'all just talk like that. Are you with me? And that person is confused. And so they're turned off by the whole process because they don't understand your relationship. So it's a real challenge for us. I can't be myself. I have to be like the one who called me out of darkness into the marvelous light. And then you know what else happens to us sometimes? Sometimes folk do stuff because they know it will hurt us. And they want you to know it. I know it never happened to anybody here, but sometimes folk want you to know that what they're doing, and especially if you're trying to lead and direct things and trying to do, are y'all praying with me? They'll do stuff. They did stuff to Jesus. Are you praying with me? I mean, he came home and tried to preach, and they said, ain't that Mary and Joseph's boy? And then somebody else said, yeah, well, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. I mean, come on, help me here, somebody. They were not nice with him, and you'd have thought he'd have went off then, but he didn't. Then when they marched him from Judgment Hall to Judgment Hall, and they brought in the false accusations, he never said. I mean, he's left us an example that we should follow in his steps. Are y'all praying with me? And one of the reasons why the churches are so, the memberships of our churches are so frustrated and separated and divided is because every time I go to the Baptist Ministers Conference, I wonder, come we can't get together? Raw priesthood, a chosen generation. And you know what I have to say to myself? If we who are the overseers can't get together, how in the world can we expect those? And so everybody in a position of leadership, are you praying with me? And every child of God who is a part of the royal priesthood, chosen generation, a peculiar people, we have a responsibility to live our lives. Are you with me? The way Christ lived his. Are y'all praying with me? Now, how did he do it? I'm glad you asked, because you know, every time I'm writing, somebody challenges it. Are you praying with me? Conversation gets heated up, and I'm supposed to be cool. That ain't my nature. Are y'all praying with me? That's just not who I help touch your neighbor and say, that might not be you either. But if you're going to lead God's people, that's what's expected of us. Can I get a witness? That's what's required of us. No, that's what's demanded of us. Are you praying with me? That we would be able, when folk opposed us, to not go off. When the conversation got heated up, we're supposed to be the calm, prevailing voice. Yes, are you praying with me? And then when folk deliberately do stuff to hurt us, we are supposed to provide forgiving spirit. Can I get a witness? But how can we do that? Well, we can do that the same way that Jesus did it. The Bible says he committed himself. He gave himself completely to him that judges righteously. Are y'all praying with me? He didn't try to, because I mean, when they were marching him from judgment hall to judgment hall, he had authority. Are you praying with me? He had the same ability when he come out of the grave and said, all authority is given unto me. Right. Well, he had that power even before he came up out of the grave. Are you praying with me? But he didn't use it. You see, sometimes you can use your authority and kill what you're trying to build. Yeah. More marriages have been destroyed because folk was right. Are y'all praying with me? More churches have been torn apart because folk was right. You see, right cannot replace what God is trying to do. If God's trying to build your marriage, there are going to be some things that happen. Can I get a witness? God's trying to build our fellowship. They're going to be, isn't it amazing how God puts folk together that can't, that conflict with one another? Isn't it amazing how God, my wife, I love her to death. I'm the strong, silent type now. Y'all may not think I am because I talk a lot. But now she is so outgoing until, that attracted me to her immediately. But don't you know that the very things that will often attract you ain't necessarily those things that's going to excite you, because she don't like for me to be the strong, silent. She want me to talk. And I don't want to say nothing. Sometimes I just want her to go somewhere and sit down, be quiet. Help me somebody. What I'm trying to say is that there are things in all of our lives that as we come together and work together, we're gonna aggravate and frustrate one another. And if we don't step in his footprints, if I get outside of his footprints, I'm going to mess something up that God is trying to build. He don't need me to do it, but he wants to use us. Are y'all praying with me? And so it is. You see, if I'm not committed to him that judges righteously,